Now, a bill that would have allowed local election clerks to get an early start on counting those absentee votes stalled last month after it didn't pass the Senate. Ben Jordan goes 360 to hear from voters, election leaders, and lawmakers who are at odds about whether all ballots should be counted on Election Day.
Mail-in absentee ballots often arrive here at Milwaukee Central Count days to weeks before the election, but Wisconsin law says votes can't be processed or counted until Election Day. Republican lawmakers decided that won't be changing ahead of this year's key elections. In the most recent governor and presidential elections, Wisconsin waited on absentee results from the state's largest cities until the early morning following Election Day, leading to claims that were proven false in recounts in court that the 2020 election was stolen in the middle of the night. Let's go 360 to hear from the Milwaukee Election Commission about how this early counting bill would have alleviated delayed outcomes in future elections. A Menominee Falls Republican shares why she voted against the proposal due to security concerns. But let's start with two local voters about whether they think a head start is warranted. So as an absentee voter, would you be okay with your vote being counted before Election Day?
Most definitely, yes.
Veronica Aldape is a Milwaukee Democrat who's been voting absentee by mail since the pandemic hit.
I think the fact that we are able to mail in our ballots, I think it would be even more secure to get those counts started prior and be able to get that done and over with so that people could see that voting is important.
Several Republicans, including former President Donald Trump, called foul on Milwaukee Central Count after the city's 169,000 absentee ballots in the 2020 presidential election were added to the state's totals at 3 a.m., flipping the swing state from Trump to Biden. What was your first thought when you saw that?
That this could be stolen. That was my first thought, that this is a problem.
Todd Allen is a Republican from Mequon who supports letting municipal clerks start counting absentee ballots early under one condition.
As long as both sides have a seat at the table, it can help move things along. It can help get people in a better position to know the outcome of this vote.
According to the National Conference of State Legislatures, 37 states allow election officials to begin processing absentee ballots prior to the election, including neighboring Illinois, Iowa, and Minnesota. Milwaukee Election Commission Executive Director Claire Woodall-Vogue is upset Wisconsin won't be joining the majority anytime soon.
I think it creates a lot of frustration amongst the public and a lot of suspicion when they go to bed. They see that there's 100% of the polling places having reported, and then they wake up the next morning and learn that Milwaukee or Green Bay's absentee results have changed the outcome of the election.
The Milwaukee Election Commission has been pushing lawmakers for years to change state law to allow municipalities to start counting absentee ballots prior to Election Day.
I really believe, if we are able to start processing the day before, we will be caught up when we start on Election Day morning. And then we're really just processing ballots that are being brought in by voters and ballots that are being delivered by the mail.
The bill that passed the Wisconsin Assembly would have required clerks to post updates on the number of absentee ballots they received and when they were tallied. Menominee Falls Republican Janelle Baranchian was one of 3 GOP no votes, fearing the potential of leaked results.
It's about having a secure process, and having a safe process, not having a fast process.
Senate Republicans opted not to take a vote on the Assembly's bill after hearing fierce opposition from GOP leaders and voters, a decision Representative Baranchian applauded. Since you voted against this, would you be willing to stand up against those who say, why are we having this ballot dump in the middle of the night?
Well, it's more than a ballot dump. I'm telling you that if we have there's the ability to actually get the information from the machines, you would have people that would have the information about what the voter numbers were the day before.
Election leaders say late night counting won't be as much of an issue Tuesday as it will be during the November election, when much higher turnout is expected to decide the governor and U.S. Senate races. Reporting in Milwaukee, Ben Jordan, TMJ4 News.